Hello, I'm and spoilers for What If episodes 1 through 4. Episode 4 was probably my favorite What If episode. It was such an interesting, I don't know, the whole concept of double timelines in one universe is such an interesting, it was such a good episode, and Strange Supreme was a great character, and yeah, I really did enjoy this episode. So yeah, continue watching for my entire review and analysis of What If episode 4. Okay, and as always, let's start with the notes I took on the episode. So, obviously this episode is called "What If Doctor Strange Lost His Heart Instead of His Hands," and it's just it's such an interesting concept, right? And yeah, okay, I'll go ahead and get to the thing. Okay, so the Watcher tells us how one choice can change anything, and obviously, yeah, that's the whole premise of the show. That's the whole premise of What If, and yeah, but what if it's the wrong choice, right? And that's what this episode specifically deals with. And that is, of course, what is actually the wrong choice? Interesting. Okay, well, we'll explain in a minute. So yeah, the episode, of course, starts with Strange and Christine getting ready for an event. And in the main MCU timeline, in Earth 19999, I always have to count on my fingers for that. In that main reality, obviously, Strange actually went by himself, right? And so he lost his hands instead of his heart in the main reality, and yeah, so that's a difference there. And so yeah, and so in the car they talk about how he should go up and like a contestant of The Price is Right and just wing the whole thing. And yeah. Oh, also, I want to talk about something. I want to talk about the fact that that Doctor Strange successfully, let me repeat this. He successfully performed a hemispherectomy, and that's what? You do know what that is, right? It's removing an entire half of the brain. And that is not something you can do successfully, I don't think. That doesn't make any... I don't think that's possible. You kind of need both... you kind of need both sides of your brain to function as a human, right? Or am I wrong? Right? That's... I don't know how he did that, but okay. He did. Oh yeah, and then Christine just goes and dies. So that's how the whole story starts. And that's where Doctor Strange lost his heart instead of his hands, because the love of his life just died in a car crash. In the same car crash that was in the main MCU in the main MCU did mess up his hands. And so yeah. And then he discovers magic and becomes a sorcerer. He gets the Eye of Agamotto. And yeah. And then he just becomes Sorcerer Supreme, I guess. And then, does he become... Okay, I guess he becomes Sorcerer Supreme already. But yeah, and then they show the whole thing with what happened in the Doctor Strange movie. Obviously, Dormammu have come to bargain is a big scene. They show that. And yeah. And then, and then they go down to... And then, there's a whole thing in the Sanctum Sanctorum. And he's thinking about how it's it's been 2 years since Christine's death, and 2 years is obviously this one episode spans centuries, but still thinking about just when I first saw the episode and just thinking wait, this episode takes place over 2 years. Oh boy, was I wrong when I first thought that, but still it was it felt like a really long time. No, this takes place over centuries, but we'll get to that in a little bit. And so yeah. So Wong goes to start a kettle of, I guess, tea, right? And yeah, after he was... he said one of the funny things he said is he needs to use the little sorcerer's room, which obviously means the bathroom. But still, it's just a little funny thing that he said, and I think that's kind of funny. And then, yeah, he starts the kettle, And yeah, he leaves. And then, here's a whole thing. A lot would be fine if Doctor Strange just listened to Wong, you know? I forgot to spoil one. A lot would be... a lot would change if Strange listened to Wong, just saying. But instead of listening to Wong, he, of course, casts a spell to go back in time to when Christine died, the night Christine died. And there we go. She goes out and talks about creme brulee again. And then he tells her he's just gonna wing it. He's just gonna wing the speech. And yeah, he's being delightful, and he's very different than he was 2 years before when they did that the last time. But yeah, but yeah, instead of things going as planned for Strange, instead, of course, Christine continues to die, like, over and over again, no matter what Strange decides to do. Like, all he does is, all he does is just, like, I don't know, no matter what he decides to do, he tries to save her in so many ways, and it never works, and yeah. And then the Ancient One comes by and explains absolute points in time, and actually, I want to talk about absolute points in time, because those are probably crucial to understanding the future of the MCU. So, absolute points in time, as explained by What If Episode 4, are points in time that cannot be changed by time travel at all. No matter if you're using the time stone or quantum time travel or whatever. You cannot change absolute points. And so, Christine's death, in this universe at least, is an absolute point in time, because if she didn't die, it would lead to this paradoxical situation in which Doctor Strange would not have become a sorcerer at all in this universe, at least. Obviously, it's different for every universe, but yeah, that's what an absolute point in time is, something that cannot be changed. Because I'm guessing this is a little bit of speculation here, but it's a pretty educated guess. I think the reason they can't be changed is because they would create paradoxical situations, and you can't really have that even in a multiverse of infinite timelines. You can't really have a paradoxical situation, and I'm guessing there's probably rules for what paradoxical situations and what absolute points are exactly. There are probably some rules, and I'm sure they'll probably go over them in Multiverse of Madness. But as of right now, there's not really many rules. It's just saying, okay, you can't change these at all. Not even the time stone can change these. And so yeah, those are some absolute. That's what absolute points in time are. And I'm pretty sure those will be crucial to understanding the future, because the future of the MCU. Because in future projects like Multiverse of Madness, they're gonna have these very important parts of plot that have to happen in order for the plot to move forward, and they're probably going to want to change those, right? But they won't be able to because they're absolute points in time. And yeah, I feel like that's going to be important coming up. Okay, anyway, back to the thing. And so yeah, there is a way to change an absolute point in time as proven by the episode, but it would require a lot of power and it would not be very good. But yeah, okay. Strange decides, you know what? I'm just going to not listen to the monster, and I'm going to go to the Library of Cagliostro and learn how to stop an absolute point. And yeah, no, that's never going to end well. So we'll get to that in a little bit. But yeah, that's never going to end well. He goes to the Library of Cagliostro, and he meets someone. Obang, I think his name is. Yeah. And obviously, Obang calls him Armani because, or Sorcerer Armani, because of the Armani suit Strange is wearing. And so it's kind of funny. And it's like, it's strange. And not any stranger than any other names in this world. And that's obviously a reference to Doctor Strange, the movie. Because in that movie, Caecilius talks about how, because Caecilius and Strange talk about Strange's name. It's like, sorcerer or whatever. Okay. It was like Mr. Doctor, right? It's actually, or it's like Mr. what is it? And then actually it's Doctor. Mr. Doctor, it's Strange. Whatever. That happened in the movie, and so the Sorcerer Armani thing is a reference to that, obviously. And so I find that kind of fun. But yeah. And then Strange decides, you know what? I'm going to spend as long as it takes learning every skill on how to beat the or beat time itself. You know, he's just gonna try to beat the entire concept of time. So that's great. Yeah. So he goes ahead and starts with time manipulation. You know, he starts doing the whole his plan is to absorb other magical beings. And so, yeah, that's interesting. Oh, and the first one he encounters is a being with tentacles, which possibly could be the Hydra champion, though I am not sure. But yeah. Mystic beings don't bargain is a line in the episode, which, I mean, it's kind of funny. It's kind of ironic, obviously, because of the whole Dormammu situation, where they actually did bargain. Oh yeah, so after Strange inevitably fails his first trial at absorbing another being, Obeng wakes him up and talks about how love is the only thing that can make someone this crazy, right? And so we'll get the line that Obeng tells us that love can shatter the mind, which is just a very interesting concept to think about. Because, like, Doctor Strange, this super genius of a person, right? He's supposed to be, like, super genius. He successfully performed hemispherectomy, which I still can't get over, even though the episode came out months ago. He successfully, like, he's such a genius person, right? He's got, like, this great mind, and he's a great sorcerer, and that's his whole personality. But yet, this one thing, one person, one death, can just like, shatter his entire reality. And, like, I find that so just, like, crazy. And this, yeah, just everything about this whole, like, love can shatter the mind thing. This episode was great, and I loved it so much. Okay. Okay, so then, now, okay. Obeng tells Strange that it wasn't any book that taught him that the whole love can shatter the mind thing. It was life experience, you know? And so that is just interesting, I find. Okay, but then anyway, again, Strange decides, not to follow directions because he's a rebel, I guess? I don't even know. He just doesn't like following people's directions. And now he's going to absorb other beings again, this time starting small with a gnome. And then a bug with a cape, and then some kind of bird thing, and then some kind of dragon thing, and then he looks like Mephisto for a second, and then like some kind of, like, what is that, bear? And then like a skeleton ghost, I guess. And yeah, and the Watcher steps in and goes like, oh wait, I could help him, but intervening is not worth it because of all the universe. But then Doctor Strange can see Uatu, and that is concerning, and so that's I find that pretty interesting. But yeah. Anyway, after Strange absorbs all of the beings, he becomes Strange Supreme, and I like to call him a pizza of a person because his name sounds like the kind of pizza topping you'd get at a restaurant, like Pizza Hut. Like Meat Lovers Supreme, Veggie Supreme. So he's Strange Supreme, and so he's a pizza, and he's Misguided Pizza because I forgot to do a. Oh, so okay, let's go back. For Loki, was it? I think it was Loki. I forgot to do an evil food, right? An evil food character, and so because in WandaVision, for WandaVision and Falcon Winter Soldier, I of course had evil pineapple and evil peanut butter, right? For Agatha and the Power Broker. And Loki, I completely forgot to do that, and I'm sorry, but here you go. Here's me making up for it with Misguided Pizza for Strange Supreme. I'm gonna call him Misguided Pizza from now on. And yeah, I mean, I'm still gonna call him Strange Supreme in this video, but like I'll call him Misguided Pizza sometimes. But yeah, okay, back to the video. And so yeah, when Strange gets out, when Misguided Pizza gets out of his absorption of other beings or whatever you call that ritual he was doing, Obeng has aged like a lot, and honestly, kind of reminds me of the guy from Iron Man. But yeah, so yeah, it's been apparently centuries since Strange started doing what he was doing, and so that's kind of concerning. But yeah, and then Obeng tells Strange that death is part of the plan, right? And then we go to the other, and then there's another Strange, because Doctor Strange is half of a man, and so yeah. Okay, and so we cut to the other Strange, regular Doctor Strange. The universe is turning to, like, weird black ink. And then the Ancient One comes to regular Doctor Strange, not Misguided Pizza, but regular Doctor Strange, and tells him that, tells him the whole story about his misguided twin, the Misguided Pizza, Strange Supreme. And how the Ancient One, how she just, put two timelines, and just, like, just kind of smash them together into one universe, which, I mean, that's not really a good idea, right? You can't really, because paradoxes can destroy the universe, as proven by the whole absolute, point in time thing. So then, Doctor Strange, regular Doctor Strange, gets ready to fight Misguided Pizza by Wong casted a protection spell on regular Strange for, I'm just gonna call him Not Strange, right? Because just as a joke, because he's the regular version of Doctor Strange, so he's not strange as in not weird. He's not strange. Get it? That's the joke. Okay, so Not Strange gets ready to fight Misguided Pizza by Wong casting a protection spell on him, and then Not Strange says, I'm having too much fun with this, but anyway, Not Strange says, that knowing him, he'll need it. He'll need the protection spell, which is actually kind of, I feel like it's a little out of character for just the character of Doctor Strange, right? Because he's such an arrogant person, and I feel like that's slightly out of character, or, is it just me, or is this just, I don't know. Anyway, then there's a whole fight with, the Stranges, of course, so the fight between Misguided Pizza and, Not Strange, and Not Strange tells Misguided Pizza that it's actually not. It's probably what's driving Misguided Pizza crazy is not love, but actually arrogance and their constant need to fix everything. The constant need to fix everything. They need everything to work out perfectly because they're Doctor Strange. So yeah. And so during that fight, Strange Supreme, Misguided Pizza destroys the Cloak of Levitation. So that's great. And then there's an illusion. And now, there's a whole illusion with, Christine and Not Strange, and how, like, this is what could possibly happen. Obviously, it's not what happened. And then, eventually, Misguided Pizza finally becomes full Misguided Pizza when he defeats Not Strange and becomes the actual Strange Supreme, because he's a full person now. He is not just half a man. He is a full person, and now he is now he's Strange Supreme. He is Misguided Pizza, and so and then Christine starts to exist. Right? So that's a problem, because she's not supposed to exist. She was supposed to die, and that was supposed to be an absolute point in time. But and so because of that, the universe starts collapsing in on itself. So that's great. So then Strange finds the Watcher, or Misguided Pizza, finds the Watcher. He senses the Watcher. He talks to the Watcher, and it's like, okay. You're a god. No, not a god. Neither are you. And you can't interfere or whatever. And like, so meddling with time and events can cause the universe destruction. It's a known fact. I mean, everyone should know this. This is common knowledge, right? I mean, actually, it is kind of common knowledge if you've seen like any time travel movie ever. But yeah. So that's the whole thing with meddling with time and events. And then And then after that, the universe does collapse in on itself, and instead of Christine actually, existing, she stops existing again. She, instead of dying the traditional way, she goes with the rest of the universe, and yeah, that's great. And now the only person left in the universe, the only things left in this universe are a purple gem and Doctor Strange. Those are the only things left in this universe now. And so that's great. The universe is just collapsing on itself and become one small purple gem in an infinite void of nothingness. And yeah. And so that's how, and that whole story proved that one moment can destroy an entire universe. So that's great thought. That's a great bedtime story for your kids. Yeah, that is. It'll teach them not to mess up, I guess. But yeah, it's actually genuinely one of my. Okay, let's go ahead and get into the review. So the first one, obviously. So first, let's start with the title review. Obviously, like always, this title was called "What If Doctor Strange Lost His Heart Instead of His Hands?" And I love this title because it's not like what if he lost, like it's metaphorical, right? It's metaphorical. What if he lost his heart instead of his hands? Because if it was literal, he wouldn't have ever become a sorcerer, right? Because he wouldn't have a heart. He wouldn't, have blood pumping. He wouldn't exist. He would be dead. Because that's what happens if you rip your heart out. You just die. But he didn't die, and he, instead of losing his physical heart, he lost his metaphorical heart, and he lost the love of his life. Christine Palmer, she died in a car accident. And she got shot. And she died so many different ways in this episode. And, she and Doctor Strange probably have about, a tie for the most number of deaths. In the MCU, Doctor Strange, Loki, Coulson, Christine. They all have so many deaths. But, yeah. So, yeah, that's that. But anyway. Yeah, losing his heart instead of his hands does change the story a lot. Because in the main MCU, in the timeline we're used to, he just lost his hands. He got in a car crash, and his hands stopped working for his hands just stopped working, and they started shaking and whatever. And yeah, his whole thing was he needs to be cured or whatever. There's this need to fix everything. He wants to fix his hands. Obviously, it doesn't really work that way, but he does end up learning magic in the main MCU timeline and all that stuff. And yeah, that's great. It's good for the thing. And so yeah, and then in this timeline though, instead of just losing his hands, he doesn't lose his hands actually, but instead of that, he lost he did accidentally killed his girlfriend, which is actually not a great thing. But it makes for a great story. I gotta give you that. It was, again, probably my favorite episode. But yeah, so I'll give this title. That was a long explanation for why I like this title. But yeah, I'll give this title a 99 out of 100. This is a really good title. Okay, so now for the actual episode, I loved it. Again, one of my, probably actually my favorite What If episode, because such a good episode, and so just the whole story was great, and I loved it. And the whole concept between absolute points in time, because they explained a new concept to us. They explained something else. They explained absolute points in time. They had they explored what would happen if we put two timelines in one universe, and that is very interesting to me because there were two time stones, right? At one point there were two time stones in that universe, and was the time stone split in half? Was the time stone as Doctor Strange was obviously split in half, right? Split into two people, but he was also wearing the Eye of Agamotto with the time stone inside of it. So was that time stone and also the Eye of Agamotto, if it has any powers? Because in the comics it has its own powers. We're not sure exactly about the MCU yet, but it probably does because he still wears it in No Way Home. Is that a spoiler? No, that's not, because it's in the trailers. But yeah, the Eye of Agamotto probably has powers. But we don't know. But yeah, but the time stone was probably also split in this universe, and so I wonder, does that have any implications on anything, or is this just fine? I think it's just fine, but I don't know. But yeah, that is I really enjoyed this episode. Again, my favorite What If episode. I really loved it. Such a great one. It takes place over the longest period of time. It takes place over literal centuries, so that's fun. But yeah, I'll go ahead and give this episode a 98 out of 100, making the 98 out of 100, which is Not a perfect score because, I mean, obviously it's not a perfect episode. I feel like it could have done better, but I still loved it just the same. It was a great episode, and yeah. And so that makes the average for this episode 98.5 out of 100, which is a very, very good score. And yeah, I really love the episode, and that is all I have to say for this video. Goodbye. That's it. Or watch another video clicking top right, left. Top right, top left, bottom left. No, bottom right, sorry. Top right, top left, bottom right. Wait, I don't even know my own layout, do I? Clicking the bottom left corner of the screen to subscribe, right? Okay, so then top right, top left, bottom right should be videos. Okay, or maybe... Okay, while I figure out this, while I figure out this weird, like, it's not even next. What is this? This is just, like, I haven't been on YouTube in a while. So yeah, while I figure out this, goodbye. That's all I have for you today.